In a world where secrets shimmer under neon lights, this isn't small talk. This is TRPP True Talk. We don't just watch the shadows, we dive into them.
What's up, guys? It's your boy TRPP, and I'm back with that true talk, baby. Let's go. All right, guys, before we jump into the topic for today's premiere, if you could do me a huge favor, smash that like. If you're new here, smash that subscribe. And if you're feeling extra generous, hit that share, put it out there. All right, guys. So, the topic for today's premiere is the case of missing Sebastian Rogers. And yes, I haven't covered it yet, mainly because, well, it's been a crazy case, right? It's one of those cases that the internet, social media, has taken and turned into an absolute circus. So I kind of, I've spoken my opinions on it on panels and in chats, but I've kind of stayed away from it. And after this long and what's been done to this case and so few people speaking on it, and when I say so few, it's like so few of the right people speaking on it, consistently because of what's been done in this case, which I don't really want to get into much of the drama of it, you know what I mean? Because I think I might do a separate video for that as far as where I think that, things went wrong and my opinions of it. I wanted to go ahead and cover it, right? Put it out there. Obviously, the more that it's out there, the better. You never know when new eyes are gonna see his picture. You know what I mean? And more eyes that have seen the picture that are, out in this world and possibly run by him and see him and help bring him home, the better, right? So before we get into it, though, the QR code up top, that is a QR code to the FBI page, which details, and we're going to be reading it, but it details the case and offers a $50,000 reward for it. I'm going to have that up for obviously new people if they're coming through and they want to, check it out. They'll be able to check it out and read it. And let me go ahead and put this up as well. This is the actual FBI flyer with the 50K reward on it. It's got the details. Um, yeah. So, you know, if you can put that out there, it'd be appreciated. But so what I want to do here, the reason I wanted to cover it myself is one, like I said, we're going to read this FBI article on it because it has the facts and debunk some of the conspiracies that have been floated about by tragedy pimps who have tried to make money off this. Well, actually, not even try, have made money off of turning this poor boy's case into an absolute circus. So we're gonna cover that, and we're gonna cover a couple of videos, um, and those videos pertain to my not so much my direct theory, but some possibilities. Right, we got some possibilities and some probabilities, and a lot of that gets confusing because of all the nonsense that's been thrown around in this case. And yeah, man, so let's get into it. And first I'm gonna go ahead and read you a little something. Before we get into the FBI read, I'm gonna read you some of the statistics for 2024 in Tennessee. Okay. In 2024, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, TBI, reported an average of 500 to 600 children going missing each month in the state, with runaways being a significant reason for these cases. You got it? So runaways are kind of where we're going with this. And there can be different things that can cause these children to run away, right? It could just be of their own volition. They could just decide that with their teenage angst and, changes in hormones. And we've all been teenagers. You guys know how it goes. They might just decide that, they want to get out, get away. Or sometimes they come across individuals online and they might make a unsavory friend that helps them run away. Or there's also the option of the other unsavory type, and those are the child groomers, right? And children, in these age brackets, these teen age brackets that are going through all this change, and especially children that have autism or other issues that make them a little bit more sensitive or a larger target for these groomers types, these predators. Yeah, sometimes they meet those type of people, and that is the scenario. And you can rifle through, you know you could, I mean, simple Google searches, but if you search the net, you can find cases like these that I'm explaining, that I'm describing. Okay, key statistics for the runaways and missing children in Tennessee in 2024. Monthly average, the TBI consistently notes the Tennessee average 500 to 600 missing children cases per month. Primary cause, a majority of these monthly missing children cases are attributed to runaways or parental abduction, right? And there's been some, theories thrown out there that this could be a parental abduction. Where that falls short for me is one, there's been a massive investigation and there has been no leads or evidence to the fact that it's parental abduction. And granted, we don't know everything that law enforcement knows, but I would feel like if at this point it was parental abduction, they would have found something for that. Now, once again, I could be wrong, and it could have been that case, but I just don't feel like that's the highest probability. Okay, active cases, year end. While thousands of children go missing throughout the year, most are resolved quickly. As of late 2024, sources indicate around 40 active long term missing children cases in the state, Sebastian being one of them. NCMEC assistance. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children assisted law enforcement families and child welfare professionals with 29,568 reports of missing children nationwide in 2024, helping to resolve 91% of them. That's astounding. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Specific detailed statistics that isolate only runaways from other types of missing children case for the entirety of 2024 are not publicly available in a single report, as official statistics often group runaways with parental abductions or other missing persons cases. Okay, so sources for all that, you're gonna have the FBI, you're gonna have Tennessee government, and you're gonna have NCMEC and Missing Child .org. So those are all resources for this AI overview. So if you want to go check those out, most definitely go check those out. But so this that brings me into my thoughts on this, right? Is that they have exhausted every angle of search. Sebastian, by personnel stance, was the biggest search for a missing child. Okay. As far as personnel that were brought to the search, one of the biggest. The other, and okay, so there's two cases that people, throw back and forth on which one was the biggest. And this is like I said, I looked all these stats up. Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers. Summer Wells was the biggest by area searched, and Sebastian's was the biggest by personnel and you know agencies wise. So that being said, the search was massive. And then there's been teams of people that have gone in and grid searched. There are still searches going on to this day. And for them to have not turned him, found him within these searches, obviously a person can be missed in searches, but how extensive these searches were, it makes it hard for me to believe that they missed him. Granted, like I said, it's a possibility. It is always a possibility, but it's just this long into it, this far into him being missing, and the amount of searching that's been done, and not just you know a hasty search, but I'm talking grid searches. People have gone back and search areas that have already been searched. It's been extensive. So I just don't feel like he's out there in that aspect. And I'm hoping I'm right, because that would mean that we have a good chance that he's still with us. And I believe that he is still alive. And I believe he will come home eventually. Okay. So what's that lead to if he's not out there? Well, maybe parental abduction, right? But then I ask myself, why? I mean, why? What would be the motive for parental abduction? Okay. He has great a great mom and stepdad. His stepdad is like, in my opinion, in just my opinion, is a solid person from what I've seen. Nobody's perfect. No parent is perfect. But from what I've seen, these two loved their son and gave him everything they could and did their best by him. And you all know, who are parents who have raised teenagers, it is it is rough at times. Even the best child is rough at times. And Sebastian had a certain set of, challenges that came along with, raising him, and challenges that he'll have his whole life. So that adds a little bit more to the dynamics of raising a child like that. But for all intents and purposes, from what I've seen, and like I said, we never know really what's going on behind closed doors, that he was well taken care of and very much loved. Now his, biological father, from everything we've heard from, his mother and stepdad, that his biological father loved him, Sebastian loved his bio dad, and, there were, some issues as far as Sebastian's behavior and talks about Sebastian maybe possibly having to go to a school. It was looked into and all that. But outside of that, there was no big issues as far as who had custody. There was no fighting. There was co-parenting as far as where Sebastian was living, possibly moving back with his dad if his dad could get things straight. Um, so I don't feel like there was really any motive for any parent to do anything with Sebastian. I just don't feel like there's a motive that makes any sense at all, right? At all. And then on top of that, like I said, if it was a parental abduction, in my opinion, with how much law enforcement, how many agencies were on top of this right out the gate, I just feel like something would have turned up by now. I just have a hard time believing that after this amount of time that these parents wouldn't have been caught. I mean, this amount of time you're telling me they haven't gone to see him. It's just hard for me to believe that, you know what I mean? So, like I said, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe, one of them did. And, there's always that possibility, but is it a high probability? I just don't feel like it's a high probability. So, if it's not lost in the woods, injured, and something happened, if it's not parental abduction, that leaves us with different scenarios for runaway, right? Whether he took off and, ran into a stranger and something happened, or maybe he met somebody online that, said that they could help him get out of his situation because every teenager, right, that's going through some stuff, they'll talk about their situation as it's, like it's bad. They're just not happy. So, come on, man. Teens can spin a story if they're not happy. And that could be a possibility. Maybe that happened. Or maybe unfortunately he might have ran into a groomer type, right? And there's plenty of stories out there, plenty of cases where a child has been groomed online by a predator and lured out of their home and taken off. And sometimes it ends up really bad as far as, you know, just be honest, like the kids, killed, or sometimes they're just held for a while and then eventually, Ellie catches up with it or the groomer, lets them go. I'm hoping that it's not that because in that state, and I'm not picking on Tennessee, but people from Tennessee know what's up. It's unfortunately the interstates that run through there make it a prime spot for people that have nefarious intentions for children to go pick up a child and be gone with a quickness. Okay, so why do I think Runaway, in my opinion, is the top of the list? Now, the reason I think Runaway is on top of the list is because throughout this case, at the beginning, okay, we were given the impression that he has autism, and it was like, they put out the alert, and we are kind of given the impression that he wasn't capable. He wasn't a capable child. Some of us might have thought that there might have been learning disabilities, and it's just the way that he was presented, and I feel like that wasn't, like, nefarious. I believe that that was more so that people would have a sense of urgency in the search if he was presented as, a child that could fall into harm's way easily, if that makes any sense. But, we were given this impression, that he, bad sense of direction, this, that. And then we were also told that he had his, internet lockdown, that he was watched, and that, he had no access, both at his home with his mom and stepdad, and then also when he was with his biological father, which later we came to find out that, well, when he's at the biological father's, that wasn't necessarily true, that he actually did have access and that he spent a lot of time alone while the biological father was at work. And that amount of time alone, you give a teenager an hour alone, they can get into some nonsense. Now, you speaking about hours upon hours with internet, access. I'm telling you. Like, it opens up the possibilities on something happening to that child, them meeting somebody that has either bad intentions. Well, either way you wrap it up, it's bad intentions, right? Because whether it was just somebody that, wanted to help him get away from his bad living situation, or it was that groomer predator type that, wanted to lure him out and, do bad things. Either way you cut it, that amount of time for a teenager unmonitored on the internet, and especially a teenager with autism who doesn't necessarily understand social cues or understand that, there are people out there like this. They could get themselves in trouble. They don't understand that they are a prime target for people with bad intentions. So that's why I feel like the highest probability for this case and what happened with Sebastian is that it's a runaway situation. Now I said runaway situation when it could be any of those certain type of runaway situations where it was, just ran out the house with no plan, maybe ran into somebody, something bad happened, or was, groomed to come out of the house, or met somebody that, told him that they would help him get away from his situation, which all three of those are a possibility, right? Some have a higher probability than others, but I feel like all of those most definitely are possible. And like I said, I feel like any of those scenarios have a higher probability of being what this case is than him being somewhere in those woods or one of the parental units doing something with him, just based on the amount of internet access. And the other thing too that we find out is, okay, yes, he's a young man with autism, but he's a young man that is quite capable, right? Smart kid, physically capable. The only issues that he had were, as far as we know from the parents, is a little bit of a social cue issue, right? Personal space issue. But outside of that, very smart kid and very, very capable. So you take a smart, capable kid that doesn't understand social cues or personal space, who may have a little bit of angst and issues with his living situation based on some things that we heard. Those things being that, he was having a little bit of behavioral issues, and there were talks of, possibly being put into school for that. Had he heard any of the information about the school situation, on top of just having that teenage angst and, the hormones flowing and, you know, unsupervised access to internet hours and hours every week, or even possibly meeting somebody at school. I mean, it just increases the chances of the runaway situation. And then we also found out as well that Sebastian would leave the house when his mom and stepdad weren't home. We found that out. At least one time, a neighbor found him hiding under a car, and Sebastian took off and went home. And the neighbor went and knocked on the door. Sebastian didn't answer. His mom and stepdad weren't home, so we found that out. And his mom and stepdad didn't even know about that until later on, after Sebastian had went missing, and that information came to light. So it's like that one time we know for sure, but that he could have easily been out of that house, in the daytime multiple times, learning his way around the neighborhood and how the layout is. And who's to say he didn't make little night missions? You know what I mean? Like a lot of teens do. You tell me you don't know teenagers that have snuck out of the house. Um, it's a possibility. It's not unheard of with teenagers to do such things. So, all that being said, I feel like this is a case in a situation where the highest probability is he ran away from that home. And if he understood the layout of that neighborhood, which I believe he's smart enough to figure out if he had missions outside of the house, and we know for sure that he was out of the house at least one time when his parents weren't home. If he knew the layout of that neighborhood, there's a good chance, very good chance that he could have left that neighborhood and never been picked up on a camera, especially at night. And then on top of that, we don't even know if that's true. We don't even know if law enforcement doesn't have him on video? We don't know. Law enforcement can very easily have him on video leaving that neighborhood or, at night. And, we also don't know if law enforcement may have a description of a vehicle that they're just not talking about. Because, like, let me tell you, during an active investigation, right, we only get about 10% of the information law enforcement has. Until, a case goes to court, if it goes to court, we don't hear but 10% if we're lucky. And even with the court, when it goes to trial in those situations, we don't even hear all of it then because some stuff isn't allowed into the trial. All right. So that being said, there could be things that law enforcement very well knows of that we just don't know. So a lot of our speculation is, speculating blindly. And the best way to do that is with what little information law enforcement will give us, and then looking at statistics and numbers, right? And possibilities, and placing the possibilities in order of highest probability. So that's what brings us here to this premiere today is I believe this is a runaway situation. And in my heart, I believe Sebastian is alive out there somewhere. So that being said, I found a couple cases, very similar situations where we have autistic children that have ran away and have been found some time later. You know what I mean? And when I say sometime, we're talking about years. Okay, but first, I'm going to go ahead for all the new people that might just be learning about this, might just be learning about this case. I'm going to go ahead and read the FBI um, article. That way we can get up to the speed for the people that don't know about this case. And then we'll get into these cases that I found very interesting and kind of bolster my opinion of what has happened with Sebastian. And like I said, I really hope that I'm right. I really hope that he's out there or like I said, I really feel like he is. And eventually he'll come home. And even if he doesn't want to come home, he'll at least let us know he's all right. That he's out there doing his thing. Because that happens sometimes as well. Sometimes when kids leave home, nothing bad happens to them. They end up finding their way and they just decide not to come home. And I know that sounds crazy, and, because a lot of people, put their perspective and project their life, experience on it. But I'm telling you, man, especially with an autistic person, me being one of those, we do this thing where, sometimes we can disconnect emotionally. So it's like if we are experiencing emotions that we don't like, a lot of times we can like get away from what's causing it and forget about the things that are causing it almost completely to the point where we can just, I don't know, almost start a new life without having that emotional, attachment that quote unquote, the normal folk have. So I know a lot of this stuff sounds crazy, but I really feel like he's out there, man. I really do. And I feel like this is a runway. Okay, guys, I'll go ahead and pull this article up and we will get into it. Let me pull this down. And like I said, the QR code up in the corner, take a little picture and share that. Share this article out there, the FBI article, so more people can hear the actual facts and not all the nonsense. So let's go. Pull this up. Okay. Searching for Sebastian Rogers. The FBI is offering a reward of up to 50,000 for information leading to Sebastian's whereabouts. On February 26, 2024, Katie Proudfoot went to wake up her 14-year-old son for school. To her surprise, he was nowhere to be found. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers had spent the previous day with his mother. The pair shopped at a department store, played video games at a bowling alley, and had dinner at a local restaurant before heading home for the evening. After returning to their home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, Katie and Sebastian prepared for bed, saying goodnight sometime between 9 and 10 p.m. Katie told us A little bit before 10 p.m., she had heard a loud bang coming from Sebastian's room. So she yelled out to ask him if he was okay, to which he responded that he was, said Detective Brandon Carter from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. She told him to go to bed because they had to be up early for school the next morning. Katie called her husband, who was out of town in Southwest Tennessee for work, and the two of them spoke for nearly 2 hours before she went to sleep around midnight. The next morning was the beginning of what would become a massive search effort for Sebastian. And like I said before, it was definitely massive. It's, by personnel standards, the biggest search in Tennessee for a missing teen or child, whichever you want to classify it as. Let's see. Katie called her husband and told him she couldn't find Sebastian, that he wasn't in the room or anywhere in the house, said Carter. Katie got into the car and drove around the neighborhood to Sebastian's school, which was less than a mile away from their house, searching for Sebastian before returning home. During this time, her husband called the local emergency communications center to report Sebastian as missing. In the early days of the search, it seemed Sebastian vanished without a trace. Sebastian's disappearance has deeply affected our community. Staying united and supportive will bring us closer to the answers that we're looking for. Detective Brandon Carter, Sumner County Sheriff's Department. This case was kind of a question mark, said the FBI Nashville Special Agent Robert Barrett. Mom wakes up and he is just gone. There's a question mark, and we've got to figure out what happened. The question mark only grew bigger as the search went on. Sebastian did not take any clothes, shoes, money, food, or his cell phone, said Carter. His cell phone and cash were both laying on the dining room table where they had been the day before when he went to bed. According to Katie, there was a small yellow flashlight that she thinks was missing, but that was the only thing that appeared to be gone from the house. And those details right there are kind of why I feel like it's a situation where he met somebody online and was either groomed to come out and sneak out and go on a little mission where the predator ended up taking him, and hope, yeah, and I hope that's not the case. Or it was somebody he met online that said, look, I can help you get away from this situation. I got stuff for you. You don't even have to bring anything. Just sneak out at night and I'll meet you right here and we're gone. And I'm thinking that obviously because he left that house and obviously didn't intend on coming back or thought he was coming back. Either way, he thought he wasn't going to need his stuff, right? And obviously left all this stuff there. So that's why I kind of have this feeling that it's a third party involved in this that is an unknown third party. Okay. The first week in the search for Sebastian was a massive community and interagency effort between the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Emergency Management Agency, Hendersonville Police, Gallatin Police, Tennessee Highway Patrol, the FBI, Metro Police, Wilson County Sheriff's Office, Sumner County EMS, Sumner County Emergency Response Team, and several other agencies throughout Tennessee. Like, that right there is, so you hear all those agents, all that, all those people involved, all those agencies involved. That's why I feel like there's no, the probability of them missing very low. Missing him out in those woods very, very, very low. Just my opinion, though. I could be wrong. The search consisted of about a 4.5 mile radius around Sebastian's home, said Carter. There were roughly 2,000 searchers equipped with an app tracker, with the app tracking their movement. The searchers could also use the app to plot things on a map that they observed while they were out searching. The total area they covered with that 4.5 mile radius was equivalent to a combined 44,000 acres. In addition to ground searchers, law enforcement employed every available resource at their disposal to locate Sebastian. Fire departments mounted fire parts, mounted patrols, ATVs, search and rescue canines, drones, helicopters, and even an airplane. During day two of the search, the Sumner County Sheriff's Department reached out to the FBI for assistance, and specific resources that could potentially help find Sebastian, who has high functioning autism. And there's Sebastian. I contacted our FBI child abduction rapid deployment team for initial consults, and then they brought in the FBI behavioral analysis unit to assist, said Barrett. The BAU shared a statistic that about 50% of autistic children are prone to wander. They are also naturally drawn to bodies of water, and 71% of fatal outcomes involving missing autistic children were as a result of drowning. That information helped us focus search efforts in and around bodies of water. The search team drained ponds and searched waterways and lakes looking for Sebastian. In addition, law enforcement searched almost every home in the neighborhood. Video recordings from nearby homes and a dashboard camera in Katie's car showed that Katie and Sebastian didn't leave the house after their return home from dinner, and that no other cars were seen coming or going from Katie's home during the evening and early morning hours of night or day Sebastian disappeared. We have followed through on every tip that has come in, said Josh Savely, apologize, special agent in charge for the Criminal Investigation Division at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Some of those tips we continue to examine at a deeper level, but the vast majority we have cleared as either being irrelevant or ended with no results. The lack of answers in the search for Sebastian has pushed the community to widely share the story on online platforms, but law enforcement reminds the public to be wary of misinformation from unverified sources. Yeah, and there's been quite a few unverified sources, right? Unfortunately, there's been individuals online, on these social media platforms, and they have just made it a thousand times harder for these investigators to do their job. And in my opinion, they have interfered with this investigation on a level that I believe is criminal. Um, but that's just my opinion. Sebastian's disappearance has deeply affected our community, said Carter. We understand the desire for the community to want answers and for us to explain every step of the investigation, but we can't release all the case details without risking the integrity of the investigation. We ask that the community refocus on on what matters most, and that's finding Sebastian. Staying united and supportive will bring us closer to the answers that we are looking for. Yeah, no, and I agree with him. A lot of people have given him a hard time and given it, law enforcement in general a hard time over this. It's like, here's the thing. If this is a situation where it is a third party individual, if they give out information, right, it could literally cause this whole situation to get much worse. And what I mean by that is if somebody thinks that law enforcement's onto them and has, you know, evidence and details that might eventually lead them to them, something bad could happen to Sebastian. You know what I mean? Or if they give out enough details where some super sleuth or somebody gets involved and ends up finding Sebastian in a way that compromises the ability to, take this to court and get a conviction on somebody, like that's not a good thing. There's a lot of different reasons why law enforcement cannot share certain details during an investigation. And I don't think a lot of people quite understand that. So for us as the public, it's just basically keeping our eyes open, keeping his picture out there, keeping his name out there, and just keeping our eyes open and making sure more and more people know about him, just like so many other missing children, and it does kill me that there's so many missing out there and so few people really know about hardly any missing children's cases. It really gets to me, but that's our job as the community at large, is just to keep these kids names out there and their pictures out there and pray to God that eventually somebody will come across them and recognize them. Okay. Promptly sharing tips and information with Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI is the best way to help find Sebastian. If you have any information concerning the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers, please contact the Sumner County Sheriff's Office at 615-451-3838 or the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800 TBI find or tips to TBI at tbi.tn.gov. You may also contact your local FBI office, the nearest American embassy or consul, or you can submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. Continue to share Sebastian's official missing persons flyer, and don't wait, said Sheriff Eric Craddock. If you see something, say something immediately. If you call right then, we can get someone on that hot hot trail. And once again, I'm gonna go ahead and share that real quick. That's the flyer we're talking about. And then once again, QR code up at the top will bring you to this exact article, which will also lead you to all the information on the flyer. So please share that out if you can. I implore you to. Okay, Sebastian was 5 foot 5 inches tall, and around 110 to 115 pounds when he was last seen. He has brown hair and eyes that look hazel or brown. He would now be 16 years old. He's coming up on 17, y'all, in December. Sebastian has medical condition including autism that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. The FBI is offering a reward up to 50,000 for information leading to Sebastian's whereabouts. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office, TBI, and FBI are still working collaboratively, sharing tips and information and urging the public to work with law enforcement in hopes of bringing Sebastian home. Okay, so case rumors versus reality. Okay, and I love that they did this because yeah, there's a lot of BS out there on this. So them squashing some of the rumors, I really appreciate that. Two rumors in the search for Sebastian have been disproven. The flashlight theory. A house down the street from Sebastian had video footage from the night of his disappearance. The camera the camera angled in a direction that happened to be facing Sebastian's backyard captured two moving lights. At first glance, the lights appeared to be right in Sebastian's yard, suggesting someone was lurking with two flashlights in hand, a potential suspect given Sebastian's disappearance that same night. However, when law enforcement further investigated the video, they disproved this theory. The dark sky and camera angle combined had distorted security footage. When they examined the video in relation to topography of the area, they found that the lights were actually coming from a pair of truck headlights flickering through the trees from a street atop a hill about 300 yards. Law enforcement further investigated to confirm that the flashlights were actually headlights. They also created an overlay of the security footage in daylight with a topographic topographic map. Dying in the daylight, it would have been clear that the lights were coming from the hill. The person in the green hoodie theory. A video surfaced of Sebastian and Katie in the parking lot of a local restaurant they visited the night Sebastian disappeared. In the video, a person in a green hoodie briefly interacts with Katie. Suspicions arose that in this short interaction, the person in the green hoodie was planning something with Katie related to Sebastian's disappearance. Law enforcement spoke with the employees at the restaurant who confirmed this person in the green hoodie was a frequent customer and helped identify them. Law enforcement went to meet with this person who happened to be wearing the same green hoodie in the video and confirmed that they were not the suspect. All right, so that's the article. That's kind of a yeah, I mean that should catch people up that are new to this case and also smashes some of the, conspiracies out there. But like I said, QR code up in the corner. Go ahead and get a picture of that. It takes you to this link, share it out. That would be amazing. And also, if you can grab that flyer, share that out. I'd also appreciate that greatly. All right. So now that I've given you guys kind of a rundown on why I think Runaway, and I've caught people up on who Sebastian is and what happened and where we're at with the case, I want to show you some cases of runaways, people, children that have gone missing and have shown up, right, years later, so that I could show you that him leaving that home on his own or with help of a third party, it's a possibility. And this is only three. Where I'm only show three cases. There's more out there. There's actually a lot more out there, but these ones I think make the most sense. So let's get into them. Let me go ahead and share this next one. Share this tab. Okay, so we have California teen found alive in Utah nearly 3 years after disappearance. Summit County, Utah, a 19-year-old man with autism found cold and sleeping in a Utah gas station parking lot has been reunited with his family almost 3 years after disappearing from California. Connor Jack Oswald was 17 when he left his family's Clear Lake, California home in September 2019. His parents had searched for him for years, handing out flyers, scanning social media, and even moving back to Idaho Falls, Idaho, where he was born, in case that's where he ended up. I never stopped looking for him, Oswald's mother, Suzanne Flint, told the Associated Press. There wasn't a day I wasn't searching for him in some form or fashion, she said. Over the past few weeks, deputies in Summit County, Utah, received multiple reports about a homeless man pushing a shopping cart in the area, but each time they reached out to offer services, he refused, according to the Summit County Sheriff's Office. Through the past interactions, it was clear to deputies that the man communicated differently, and the sheriff's office said on Facebook. Deputies said that after a couple weeks of trying, Oswald finally accepted the help on April 9th when they found him shivering and sleeping in a convenience store parking lot. He eventually let deputies take his fingerprints while he was warming up in a patrol car. The fingerprints led them to an outstanding warrant from Nevada, but deputies felt that there was something there, something beyond a criminal warrant. Summit, Summit County Justin Martinez told the AP. Investigators combed through missing and endangered person reports and eventually found the 2019 missing report of Oswald. The name was spelled slightly different than the warrant, but the photo matched, so they called his family. Oswald's father left work and drove 4 hours to Utah when he got the news. He told the Associated Press that deputies could have dismissed it, but they didn't, and that made all the difference in the world. His family says they're hoping to bring him back home soon. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and play a video I found for it. So let me pull this up, share. Let's go ahead.
Incredible story. An autistic teenager who went missing from Clear Lake 3 years ago has been found alive in Utah. Sheriff's deputies say Connor Jack Oswald was found last week outside of a gas station in Summit Park, which is about 20 miles east of Salt Lake City. Authorities say people in the area reported seeing a young man sleeping outside of a gas station. After deputies scanned Oswald's fingerprints, they found that he was a missing person and called his parents to notify them that he had been found.
Is it him?
A little bit older, but yeah.
My sweetheart's alive.
We're just grateful that he is safe, he's alive, and we have our son back. That's the most important thing ever for us. We searched all over Northern California. We had the Missing Centers of America. We had Polyclass Foundation, the DOJ.
We've had a lot of false hope over the last 2.5 years.
There wasn't a dry eye in the room with, and we're talking law enforcement, family members. They've been reunited with this individual they haven't seen for 3 years. When he was 16, he's now 19.
Details about how long he was in Utah or how he got there are unclear, but Clear Lake police believe Oswald was a runaway. He has been reunited with his parents and is undergoing treatment now.
So, all right, there was one, 3 years, right? Autistic young man who disappeared from one state, found in a completely different state 3 years later. And there was a warrant out, right? He had a warrant out. So I'm not sure what the warrant was for. I would probably assume maybe like some shoplifting or something of the sort. Maybe, him maybe stealing things that he needed to survive out there. And that's, like I said, that's just speculation. I couldn't really find anything on what it was about, but doesn't really matter. Really, it doesn't matter. Missing 3 years, he's back with his family, and that's all that matters to me. And it's just one of those many reasons why I really feel like Sebastian, there's a high probability or possibility that he ran away. So we got another one, right? Here, let me share the tab. Arizona teen who went missing nearly 4 years ago shows up at Montana police station. 4 years, y'all. 4 years. Alicia Navarro's disappearance in 2019 started as a runaway case and sparked a major search. She recently reported to authorities in Montana, said Glendale, Arizona police. All right, let's go ahead and fire this up.
Alicia Navarro has been located.
Missing for nearly 4 years, Alicia Navarro has been found.
She is by all accounts safe. She is by all accounts healthy. And she is by all accounts happy.
Glendale police say within the last few days, Alicia, now 18 years old, went to a police station in a small town in Montana, close to the Canadian border, identifying herself.
And do the math on that, right? Do the math on that. When she went missing, how old was she? So tell me that, right? Tell me that Sebastian couldn't go missing at the age that he was and make it. Yeah.
Asking for help in clearing her off a missing juvenile list.
How did she get to Montana?
We don't know yet.
The search for Alicia started in September of 2019, when the then 14-year-old disappeared from her Glendale home just days before her birthday. She left a note behind saying she ran away, she was sorry, and she would come back.
Alicia, I love you if you're looking at this. Please come home.
5 days after Alicia went missing, her mother's desperate search was already well underway. She said her daughter was on the autism spectrum.
You swear you were going to come back.
You hear that? That age on the spectrum, gone for 4 years, and decided to finally report that she was alive. Telling you all. I really feel like this is the situation with Sebastian. I really do.
Please come home.
It's been almost 4 years of agony, 4 years of billboards, flyers, press conferences, and prayers. But Jessica Nunez finding out Wednesday her daughter is alive.
I don't have details, but the important thing is that she is alive.
In addition to this statement, Nunez also sharing these video clips on social media released by Glendale police.
Did anybody hurt you in any way?
No, no one hurt me.
They show a small part of a 20-minute FaceTime call between investigators and Alicia, one of many calls they say they've recently had with her.
Thank you very much for talking with us.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for offering help to me.
Police also releasing a recent photo showing what Alicia looks like today.
To us, she is a victim, and we need to provide services to her, whether that be mental or just health-wise, or just helping her get her life back in order.
When asked if Alicia was with anyone when she left Arizona, where she's been staying, and who, if anyone, she's been with, officials said they still don't know. And even though they've found Alicia alive and well, this investigation is not over.
As much as we'd like to say this is the end, we know this is probably only the beginning.
The FBI.
All right, so there we go. Another case, right? And I got one more for you guys. Let me pull this up. But come on now. Look at the age that Navarro was when she left. 4 years and came back. So I'm telling you, man, there's a possibility, man. It is not out of the realm of possibility for Sebastian to have left. And I hope he's fine right now. I really do. And in my heart, I know he's alive out there somewhere. All right, we got another one. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Volume's up. And I'm sorry if the volume's low on this, guys. I don't have an audio booster yet. I need to get that done. But just bear with me.
With our GMA cover story, the missing Illinois girl found 6 years after her mother abducted her. Her story is part of a true crime series. Ariel Reshef is here with the details. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, George. Kayla and her mom were last seen in 2017 in Illinois. Somehow, her mother managed to evade police for 6 years, but with the help of someone in North Carolina who remarkably reunited with her father nearly 6 years after police say she was abducted.
Okay, so I'm adding this case because, I can't read the future. And even though I don't think it was parental abduction, I went ahead and threw this one up here because, some people believe that. But I just found it interesting, this case as well. So I just want to share this one with you as well. Come on. Really? You gonna freeze on me? All right,
Her
here we
mother
go.
arrested and just released on bond. Authorities say Heather Unbehan did not have custody of her daughter, but ran away with then 9-year-old Kayla in 2017 from Illinois. The pair's photo shown briefly on the Netflix documentary Unsolved Mysteries, in an episode about parents who kidnap their own children. Police say a store worker in North Carolina, who also had a personal connection with Kayla, recognized her from the Netflix series and alerted her manager, who then called police.
We were contacted, and we had officers arrive, and they began their investigation, and through their investigative efforts were able to eventually positively identify the mother.
According to police, Kayla was last seen with her mother after a 4th of July parade in 2017. Her father, Ryan, was scheduled to pick up Kayla from her mother's home the next day, but neither Kayla or her mother were there. After first reporting his daughter missing back in 2017, Ryan worked closely with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, sharing photos and messages to her in a desperate search for answers.
The father was absolutely incredible in helping us and providing us with images of the family. And that's really what's key in doing these age progressed photos. You need pictures of family members, mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncles, as many family members as you can. And the father was great in providing that.
The investigation is ongoing, but it still remains unclear just how this mother was able to evade police for so long.
For them not to be detected over a period of 5 or 6 years is really, really uncommon.
And that Good Samaritan who spotted Kayla and called police didn't want to be identified, but told ABC News it was the right thing to do. Kayla's father, Ryan, is now so relieved to have his daughter home, safe and in good condition. He thanked all of those responsible for bringing her home and requested privacy as they navigate a new beginning. Guys, remarkable.
So glad she's home. Thank you, Ariel. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
All right. So let me go ahead and drop this down. So guys, all right, we've went over Sebastian's case, the details, what we do know. Because there's, like I said, this premiere, I didn't want to get into the interviews, speculations on the parents through the interviews. I didn't want to cover any of the drama that's gone on social media over accusing the mom and the stepdad of horrible things. I didn't want to cover the biological father's horrible behavior. I just wanted to stick to the facts that we knew, give you my opinions on what I think the highest probability is on the possibility chart, and show you a few cases on why I think that Sebastian is a runaway and why I believe he's still out there. And I do believe eventually he'll come home, or at least let the world know he's alive. I really do. I truly feel that way. If you guys are interested in any of those cases, go check them out. But yeah, I'm sure anybody that's shown up for the premiere has already given their opinions in the premiere, and thank you all for being here for the premiere. But if you all can leave me your opinions in the comments, I'd appreciate it. I love to see what everybody's thinking about and where they stand on this case. You know what I mean? I know there's a lot of people that are dead set that, the biological father has something to do with it. And, like I said, one of the parents, maybe they did. Maybe somehow, some way, they were able to outsmart law enforcement and all those agencies and have him hid somewhere. Maybe, this mom did. This mom, the case we just watched, somehow 6 years, she was able to hide. And, maybe, one of the family members is helping the parents and hiding Sebastian. Do I think it's likely? No, I really don't, but it could happen, right? It could happen. But I truly feel like his situation is probably like the first two cases we just saw. where he ran away either on his own or third party help, and he's out there. I just really do. So hopefully you all enjoyed the premiere and the way that I covered this. This is how I like to actually cover, quote unquote true crime or missing cases. I like to really just stick to the facts. I don't mind some speculating and whatnot and having conversation about it. But I mean, I really try to keep it within the, the scope of the evidence and statistics and what we know for a fact. I try to stay in that lane, and everybody enjoys a good conspiracy, but I feel like there's a time and a place for conspiracy. And I feel like when you get into conspiracy too far into conspiracy, when it comes to the murdered or the missing, it's kind of a disrespectful thing for the victims. That's just my opinion. Everybody can have a different opinion on it. That's fine. But hopefully you guys like the way that I cover this, and hopefully you enjoy the premiere. Like I said, leave me some comments. Smash that like button if you're new here. It'd be awesome if you hit the subscribe. I really appreciate the support. And yeah, leave some comments over in the comment section if you're catching this on the replay. Other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Throw some love and some prayers out there for Sebastian and his family. Hit that QR code, get that information out there. Keep his name alive, keep his picture out there. Good people need to put up a bigger fight than the people that are tragedy pimping his case. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. It's your boy, TRPP, and this has been True Talk. And until the next live stream, premiere, short, or video, I'm out, y'all. Much love. Peace.
In a world where secrets shimmer under neon lights, this isn't small talk. This is TRPP True Talk. We don't just watch the shadows, we dive into them.